Okay, we're going to try out this live stuff. I've been working on creating a drawing course specifically for technical theater, design, that sort of thing. And wait, I'm hearing myself. I shouldn't do that. Let me turn off all my speakers. All right, stop. That's why I'm practicing the streaming live. This is just an intro thing that I'm putting together, and I will take the video that I create from this and edit it down into some course materials, which I will publish at some point. So, like I said, I'm practicing, and I think there's a chat window that should show up. And if I see you're in chat, I'll say hi and that sort of thing. So, welcome to this stream. Let's see if I can get this chat into this window here. So window capture. Let's see. Sorry, stand by. Let me go see if I can find where it is. Now practice, copy it. None of those are it. Test. That show up. Hopefully that'll shows up. Chat windows. Window capture. Chat. Bear with me here. I don't think there's any of those. Oh, that's that. Sorry. I'm still figuring out this streaming stuff. Let's get that running. Here we go. Capture. Window 2. Here we go. Hey, Ed. All right. It's probably a little volume elsewhere too. I'll see if I can pick that up a little bit. Thank you, Steve. All right, there we go. Okay, we have a chat window now. Okay, volume a little bit higher. Let's do that. Is that any better? Testing 1, 2, 3. I might have to adjust it somewhere else. Hey, Doug. Welcome to my thing. Anyway, so I'm doing this tutorial on how to draw for designers, technical theater people, that sort of thing. I had asked on an online forum if students needed that sort of help, and they said yes. So I'm doing this quick little class here. So I'm going to start out with basic pencil use. Like I said, I'm recording this so that I can edit it into an online course later on. And so I'm going to pretend I'm not talking to the chat at the moment and just start on some basic pencil use. So here I've got a plain number 2 pencil. It's a plain office pencil. That's how we're starting. During the other video that I created on describing what all the different pencils do, and I went through all these different pencils that were in my pencil kit. Until you get those pencils in your stock, we're going to start with a plain number 2 pencil. A nice sharp pencil is important for your nice straight lines. We have a sharp point here. Do a straight line like this. I'm not pressing very hard. This piece of paper is from the sketchbook that we're going to get you to get on your own. And so it's a little bit rougher than copy paper. You can start with copy paper. That's not a problem. But we have a nice straight lines with a sharp point. And I sharpen my pencils fairly often when I want these straight lines. Let's see what happens if I do this other. Where is that line? It's over here. So my pencil is going to give me a relatively dark line. If I press harder with it, I'm going to break the point. So I'll grab another pencil that I have sitting here. I like to have multiple pencils sitting next to me for when that happens so that I can immediately keep going with my work. So this is sharp line, dark pencils with a standard number 2 pencil. Now that brings me to the next thing that I want to talk about, which is with this broken pencil. This is perfect timing. Talk about a round point instead of our sharp point. So if we round the point a little bit, and I just use the paper to sort of roughen it a little bit, it gives me a different quality line. It's a little bit thicker, a little bit darker. Let's get it down a little bit more. Now, sometimes what will happen on this pencil is that depending on how you sharpened it, there might be wood covering where the graphite is. So we want to take away some of that wood. And depending on your pencil sharpener, again, it depends on how it's going to line up. So I'm just going to use my fingernail, or you can use a piece of sandpaper. On my drafting board, which I don't have anymore because I do most of my actual drafting in CAD, I have a smaller drafting board, which I'll be showing in the drafting portion of a course. I have a small piece of sandpaper taped to the straight edge that goes up and down. So for my live streaming audience, the good thing about doing this videotaping stuff is that I can edit out all these delays later on. When I run into these troubles, this is my pencil kit. This is an old scuba diving mask case. The mask came in the scuba diving case. Okay. So if you don't have any sandpaper, I pulled out, there's my pencil, and there it is. Pulled out an X-Acto blade, and I'm just going to cut away the wood. Now, the nice thing about having an X-Acto blade is that you can make the different shapes of your pencil line, of your pencil tip, as you need to. Again, I can edit stuff. So I've carved away a bit of the pencil, and I'm going to shape my pencil tip so it's a bit rounder, so it's not as sharp as it was. Now, compared to these other lines that I had here, this one should be quite a lot thicker. So it depends on how you've shaped your pencil tip. Will give you the different quality lines that you're doing. So I'm going to draw a box here. If I have this box and I want a nice thick line on the top, and I want to bring it down like so, okay, I can then use the thinner line. I can rotate the pencil slightly and give myself a thinner line going back to make it seem like the box is receding. We'll be covering this a lot more in our perspectives classes. So there's a basic pencil shape tutorial there. Now we're going to talk about that. That's like, sort of like a rounded tip. You can have a rounded tip that you can create. We can also create a chisel tip. I do this most often by just taking the pencil and rubbing it on a diagonal. Okay, and that gives me a nice chisel tip. Let me rotate it here. Which allows you to do more of this box drawing, different thickness drawings with only the one pencil. So if I have here on an edge, there's a thick line. If I rotate the pencil in my fingers, I've got a much thinner line. So that's the beauty of a chisel tip. I'm going to go back to a sharper pencil again. And we're going to talk about different ways of holding the pencil. This is a traditional writing position. Okay? And then we have what's called an underhand position, where you're holding it underneath your hand like so. And you can get much closer to the edge of the paper like this. So your writing position, you're going to be able to draw lines. But with this underhand position, we're going to be able to do a sort of a sideways holding of the pencil lead right there. And so we can fill these in. Now you'll remember from the class that I gave, or the description of all these different pencils, I described a woodless pencil. This one obviously has wood. This one is just a solid stick of graphite. And the beauty about this, the reason why I said it was so nice to have, is that you can hold it on the side and you can get a lot thicker shading possibilities holding it in your underhand position. So when we go back to our box, if we're doing various different things like shading the sides or creating a shadow of said box, you can do that way. Now, until you get your woodless pencils, we can obviously do it with this edge of our number 2 pencil, of our office pencil. And let's see, what would this shape look like? Go back like that, go up like so, sit down, and we'll just cut it off right there. Anyway, this wasn't the box shadowing lesson. So that's a basic outline of the different points that we're going to be using on our pencils. Chisel shape, a round point, in other words, a squished down one, just a sharp point, and so on. So that's it for this lesson. Stay tuned for the next one. All right. Okay, so some of the chat is not coming through on my feed here, and I do see a few chats from Facebook that I'm looking at. And the Wiley High technical theater guy commented that I like to use Dixon Ticonderoga pencils. Dixon Ticonderoga was one of my favorite pencils. And one of the reasons why is because when I was a kid in elementary school in New York City, we took a class trip to the Dixon Ticonderoga pencil factory in New Jersey. And I have a vivid memory of this trip, specifically because there was this one woman there who was boxing pencils. That was her job. She was boxing pencils, and she happened to be blind. She did the pencils by feel. She would grab a handful of pencils, and every time there were 12 pencils, and she'd stick them in that box. And that was her job. I was disappointed when I was shopping for pencils for my kids for school when I went to the Dixon Ticonderoga box of pencils, and I'd seen that they changed, and they were made in China. I think they do have some that are made in the States, but that was one of the reasons why Dixon Ticonderoga was one of my favorites. All right, let's see. I'm just catching up on chats from different. Yes, Ed, I agree. Line weight and scale are a lost art, and one of the reasons is because of CAD. You know, we do all this stuff on a computer screen, and we no longer have a relationship of size and scale when we're talking about the printed sheet. I've taught CAD at university, and until they print it out on a plotter and see how much white space they've left over or how much they've crammed it into the drawing size, they don't get that the feeling of that space. It's one of the reasons why I like teaching drafting on a nice big table with one single sheet of paper, saying, how are you going to fit all your information into that one sheet? What else do I want to cover today? So I'm just prepping another piece of paper for a different quick class module. It's interesting that I'm seeing chats from different sources. Like on my screen, I can see these Facebook comments that have come through. But on my Facebook feed, I'm seeing some comments coming in from different locations. I guess it depends on how it's shared. I have to figure out how to share a link to a single Facebook feed, live feed, if I'm going to share it to multiple groups. Because obviously, if they're commenting in one group on the link, I'm not seeing it as a Facebook comment through the Restream Facebook comment window, which I have over my head right there. Okay. Hi everyone, welcome to another module. This one's going to be about shading. What I'd like you to do is just take a plain piece of paper. It can be typewriter paper or sketchbook paper. I'm using the sketchbook paper. You'll have slightly better results, but until then, you should try it with your typewriter paper or printer paper, as it were. I want you to draw a rectangle. Doesn't have to be neat at all. and we're going to practice shading. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to go from one end to the other. We're going to have light, medium, and dark shades. Okay, so we're going to start from light to dark. So we'll start from white to as dark as we can get it with our pencil. Now you're not going to go this way. We're going to go this way. So I'm going to just start with a side, the underhand holding, the side scraping the paper. And as I get further to the dark end, I'm going to start pressing harder and harder. And then we're going to go back up and press lighter and lighter. So I'm just about done up there. So I've got to really press hard down here to get it as dark as I can. So I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to see how dark I can get it on this piece of paper with this particular pencil. It's a standard number 2 pencil. Okay. So nice and dark. Dark as we can get it. So I'm going to line this up. For those of you watching streaming, I'll edit that part out. Press as dark as I can, as hard as I can, get it nice and dark. And then start lightening up as I progress to the lighter end. Now, it's okay to keep going over and over again on this, because that's the whole point of practicing on this exercise, is to figure out control of your shading. And ultimately, we want to get to nothingness over here at this end. Okay? So again, we're going to go harder and lighter and lighter and lighter. Now, one of the ways that you can work with this pencil as well, which is pretty cool, pretty handy. Let me get into my shot here. Is you'll see that the pencil is getting dirty over here. That's because I'm using part of that wood part to sort of smudge the work here. So it's smudging the pencil as I'm going. One of our other tools that we're going to use, I haven't covered it yet, is this smudge stick. It's called a tortillon. I'm not sure I pronounced that right because it's something that's in French, tortillon. That's how I think it's pronounced. But it's basically a rolled up piece of paper, soft paper, and they come in different shapes and sizes. This one is definitely just a rolled up piece of paper. Okay. Different rolls. And so what you can do is you can take this and you smudge it. Some people call them smudge sticks. Okay. And it smudges the graphite around to make it a little bit more smooth. And I have a few here. That we'll be playing with. Okay, so there's a few there. I have some more somewhere else, but that's what they are. These are smudge sticks. Okay. Okay. So that is an exercise that that I'd like you to do, to play with and come up with from a light to a dark. Now, the next part of this particular exercise is going to be almost the same, where you're going to draw the same shape, okay, and you're going to break it up into, let's say, 5 boxes. It's a middle one, there's one, and there's one, approximately even. They don't have to be exact. This was just rough. If you're, really want to make it straight, you can use a ruler and measure these boxes. And this one's going to be the lightest one. Obviously, we could just leave it blank, but that would be a little lazy. And this one's going to be as dark as you can get it. So this one here, we're going to make as dark as we can. And that's going to be just the darkest shade we can get out of our pencil. And you'll see how it matches sort of this color over here. It's a very dark one. This one here wants to be a middle ground, so somewhere in a middle gray. So I'm just not pressing as hard. This one wants to be darker than that. And this one wants to be lighter than this one. And this one wants to be the lightest of them all. Obviously, the white of the paper is the lightest one that we can get. When we're doing work like this, when we want white, we just don't draw, or we erase. So that one's lighter. This one's a little darker than that one. This one's a little darker than that one. This one's darker. This one is the darkest, and so on. So we have our 5 shades here, and this is a good exercise. You want to try to make it even. This one is a little bit, this one is as dark as I could get it. Well, I can do more. I'm not sure this one is quite in the middle between this one and here. That's something to play with. But we can look at grayscales. These are called grayscales. This is a gradual or gradient change from light to dark, and these are 5 distinct different shades. During our future lessons, we are going to be drawing shapes, and we're going to be using some of these grayscales for our drawings. An assignment that will be coming up is that you'll be making not 5 of these, but you'll be making 15. So you'll have 5 light grayscales, and then 5 middle grayscales, and then 5 very dark grayscales. And we'll be using those different grayscales towards our drawing. So that is a grayscale exercise, and that's today's assignment. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Okay, let's see what else we have. All right, we gotta pause that. No, we don't want to pause it. We just want to turn up the volume. Interesting. All right, everyone. Well, that's it for now. I'm probably going to live stream later on. If you want to be notified when I'm live streaming, follow Stage Seminars, the Stage Seminars website, or the Stage Seminars page on Facebook, or follow, if you do a search on YouTube for Stage Seminars, you'll find my channel there, and subscribe to that and hit the notification button and that sort of thing, and it'll pop up when I'm going live. At some point, I'll have my act together to the point where I will schedule these in advance, and then a notice will pop up to let you know, and you can schedule a reminder and that sort of thing. So again, this was just a couple of lessons that I'm putting together for a drawing class that I'm assembling, and I'll be making those public at some point after I do the editing and after I get a little bit more polish and such. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time around.